welcome back. Today we're going to expand our pen making abilities by looking at another variation of a segmented blank. You know, a few weeks ago we looked at some straight segments. We looked at inserting some brass rods. Well, today we're going to look at making a scalloped pen blank. I don't know where the term came from. It's just what it's called. But what we're going to do, I'm going to get in close so you can see this. We're going to make this pen blank. It's scalloped. That's what it's called. And what we're going to use today, we're going to use poplar for our base, and then we're going to use 2 accent segments of walnut and 2 accent segments of blue box elder burl. And stay tuned. We'll see how it's done. Here is what we're going to need to create this segmented blank. You're going to need your blank of choice. For demonstration purposes today, I'm going to make us a blank out of poplar, which is white, and then I'm going to use different colored accent pieces. I'm going to use walnut and the blue dyed box elder burl to show contrast. And I'm doing this for a reason, and you'll see in a little bit. If you wanted to create all your segments one color, all these would be the same. Also, it's quite common that I will take a piece of aluminum and glue onto one side. You need to prepare all your accent pieces before you start this glue up process. Now, to start with, take your blank. If you want to put it, pick your upper blank, your lower blank, whatever, and give yourself an extra inch, half inch if you've got, however much material you have. I think we're using a blank that's 3.5 inches long today. Take your blank, and this is important. Draw a center line down each side of the blank. Alright, and then number each side. Side 1, side 2, side 3, and side 4. As far as your accent pieces, they need to be the same width as your blank. These are about 3/4 of an inch. They need to be about 1 inch long, because when you cut your 45, they need to cover that length. So 3/4 wide by 1 inch long, and generally no less than 3/8 of an inch. If they're less than that, your segments just will not look good. These are 3/8. I've used them as much as a ½ inch. So 3/8 inch thick, 3/4 inch wide, 1 inch long. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut, using my segmented sled, a 45-degree angle right across here. So our first order of business is to cut our first 45-degree angle using my segmenting sled and my 45-degree angle insert. And if you haven't seen my sled, you can see the video I made on it, I think last week. Can we get it fastened down? First cut, side 1, 45 degrees. Okay, we've got our first 45 cut, and the first thing that we want to do is to take this mark right here all the way around our blank. And this is important because this is where we'll use as a reference to cut the other 3 sides. So you want to make sure that this is fairly accurate about where that line wraps around the blank and intersects with where that angle starts. And we want to keep that line throughout this process. So we've got side number 1 cut. Now all we do is, using some CA glue, we'll glue this on to there. Put a little CA glue. Thing good about these thick ones, you can keep your fingers away from it and it won't stick. Now what we have to do, now this is repetitive. Now what we have to do is, where this overhangs, is cut it with a bandsaw or sand it or whatever you want to do, but this line needs to carry through. This needs to be cut to the original size of the original blank. I'm going to use my bandsaw to make the initial cut, and then my belt sander to smooth it out. Okay, with the number 1 side done, now we're going to flip over. And by the way, when you do your sanding, make sure we keep these lines. Make sure if you lose them a little bit, reestablish them, because here's where we need that line. Now that side's 1 done, we flip over to the opposite side. We go to side 3. And we use that line that we ran down the edge to line up with where the edge of our blade cut, because that positions our blank for the next cut. So we line up that line with the edge of our blade cut, tighten the sled down, and we make this 45-degree cut. And then we repeat that process. We glue the other piece of walnut to that side. I've tried to do this using 2-part epoxy. As you know, I like to use 2-part epoxy, but it's just too difficult to hold all these angles in position. Plus it would draw it out and draw it out and draw it out. So in this case, it's very convenient to use CA. And as long as we're using all wood like we're doing here, we're using a wood blank with a wood accents, no aluminum, it's not that big a challenge to drill. But when you put aluminum in it, it gets a little more challenging because of the heat. We go through the same scenario. I'll trim this up, get rid of the overhang, get it back to the original, and then I'll sand it. Same steps as side 1. Okay, I finished side 3, and now we can come back and we can cut our 45 on side number 2. And once again, when I sanded it, I reestablished this line across here because we use that to line our blade up. Line that line up with the edge of your blade. Make our cut on side 2. We went 1, 3. Now we're going to go 2, 4. And now on side 2, we're going to glue one of our blue ones. And you're going to see the contrast here shortly. I'll go trim it up. Once again, I'll trim it up on the bandsaw and the sander just like we did side 1, and then I'll come back and we'll cut the final side. Okay, we're ready to cut our final side. As before, we line that line up with the edge of our saw blade. And make our last cut. You saw it's a good thing I've got this blade guard and I've got my safety glasses on, because you saw that kick off when it cleared the blade. The piece was so small we can't secure it with our other hold down. So when it clears, it kicks and hits right here. So it's a good thing we have that little tall fence in the back. So that is our final cut. And now we glue our last piece, which is another blue one. We used walnut on sides 1 and 3, and we used this blue box elder burl on sides 2 and 4. We're through with the glue up at this point. Now I'm going to do what we did previously. I'll go ahead and square it up here and sand it up so that it's 3/4 by 3/4 around. Now our final step is to square this blank up so that we can drill it and put a pin tube in it. And that final step is going to be this point right here where you see the X's. We need to trim it slightly above that. I'll say a 1/16 of an inch or so. And when we drill these, that is where the end that we'll drill on. So I just mark it. And then we trim it flush. Actually trim that a little long. I'm going to go just a little shorter. About a 1/2 blade width. So that is our scalloped blank. At this point, we would drill it, insert the tubes, and then use our whatever pin kit we've got. I'm just going to put a 60-degree bevel, and I'm going to turn it between centers just so we can see what it looks like. If you were making a pin, obviously you would go ahead and put your tubes in, etc. Now that's just a 60-degree kind of a chamfer bit, so that our 60-degree live center and our 60-degree headstock will fit in there so that we can turn it between centers. Now, let's turn it. Just a couple of quick coats of CA so we can get a true evaluation of the color. Well, that's how it's done. That's how you make a scalloped pen blank. The possibilities are endless. The use of materials, again, you could line inside each one with aluminum or with brass or with other colors. You can use acrylics. There's an endless possibilities of what you can do with this. Well, hope you liked it. Hope you got a skill builder out of it. And if you make some pens, or if you get into this, send me some pictures at ll_woodworks@yahoo.com. Send them to me, and I'd like to see what you got out of our little session today. Hope it was helpful for you. I'll have a written tutorial on the step-by-steps on this posted on my website. It'll be www.ll-woodworks.net, probably in a reference page or a blog page, but it'll be on my website, or a link to the PDF file when you can download the PDF file. It's a beautiful, beautiful way. As a matter of fact, the picture on the thumbnail for this video was a scalloped pen blank that I made with a fountain pen. So glad you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Like our video. If it's the first time you've been here, we'd ask you to subscribe to our channel so you can get notification of more. And leave us a comment. We always enjoy the comment and the feedback with our viewers. You can also find us, I've mentioned our website. We're on Instagram at ll_woodworks, and we're on Facebook at LL Woodworks. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, be safe.